Although drug use was illegal in North Korea, money and power could make any crime disappear. Part 1. My worthy two-faced family. We tend to believe that having more will make us happier, but in my teenage years I realized that wealth doesn't always bring richness of spirit. My uncle had so much money that spending nearly $10,000 a month barely registered to him. In North Korea, becoming wealthy is extremely difficult and rare because the state tightly restricts all economic activity. Success depends less on talent or entrepreneurship and more on political connections, loyalty to the regime, and the ability to navigate corruption. My uncle was deeply loyal to the government. He regularly supplied food to the military to demonstrate his devotion to the Kim dictators. In 2010, he even had the chance to attend the April Military People Conference in Pyongyang, the last major political event Kim Jong-il attended before his health deteriorated, and to meet the great leader in person, something unheard of for ordinary citizens. At his farm, he raised the cattle, goats, and chickens and produced the milk. At his fishery, he caught large quantities of fish, which he froze and stored. During the off-season, he sold the fish and earned a higher margin. He also smuggled car parts from Japan, assembled them, and sold the cars for $7,000 to $10,000, comparable to the price of a two-bedroom apartment in the heart of a North Korean city. My uncle graduated from a technical college specializing in automotive technology, had the knack for making things by hand, and was business savvy. But the reality was far from glamorous. He began using crystal meth to push through the stress and fatigue. In 2008, when I was 17, I witnessed his rich friends and officials from government agencies doing drugs at his company. This one is better than the last one. Where did you get it? I got it from a dealer at the Bongchun market. This one is sick. I should keep an eye on that bitch so I can snatch more from her. Next time you want some, let me know. I will round up the dealers and bring you to the drugs, haha. They casually talked about the quality of the drugs and said they should keep tabs on the dealers so they could extort even more from them. The drugs served as tokens of trust, symbols of connection, and instruments of loyalty. Although drug use was illegal in North Korea, money and power could make any crime disappear. In a country ruled by control where murder carried no consequences for those with the clout, drugs were a means of bribery and a rare taste of freedom. Because of my uncle had built a strong network with the people of wealth and power, my grandparents and aunt received support in many areas of life. Every month, my uncle sent my grandparents 50 kilograms of rice or corn or a pack of frozen fish. They wouldn't have to struggle to get by. He demolished their house, which hadn't been touched since 2006, and built 3 homes for them on a large plot of land. Every house had a well, so my grandparents had free access to water. They sold one of the houses for $1,000 and rented out another, which covered their expenses in old age. In the eyes of others, my family seemed quite wealthy. Each family member supported themselves, and no one suffered from a lack of goods. My aunt, my uncle's sister, earned a living by making sofas. Her husband graduated from medical college but never wore a doctor's white coat, instead choosing to craft sofas with my aunt, a trade that earned far more than a doctor's monthly wage of $4 or $5. They bought wooden planks, cotton, and lumber from the market and sold their sofas at the Kalma market, earning a decent income. My aunt lived in a house on a huge plot of land, over 330 square meters, next to the market. They crafted the sofas in the center of their yard and grew vegetables that they brought straight to the table. Making sofas was hard work, so my uncle gifted my aunt a large bus he'd smuggled from Japan, which enabled her to earn $80 to $100 a day by transporting goods and people, enough to support 3 families for 6 months in North Korea. On the outside, my family was definitely well off, but the atmosphere on the inside was a far cry from that. My aunt was always afraid I would inherit my grandparents' houses and money, so she consistently pushed my capricious grandmother to send me to my father. What kind of man would marry a woman who isn't living with their parents? And his father is doing just fine. Why should you be the one to take care of her, Mom? It's time to send her to her father for the sake of her future, don't you think so? My aunt's words sounded like concern, but she had an ulterior motive. Her insatiable greed left a deep scar on my young soul. That was the start of the family feud. My wealthy uncle surrounded himself with pretty young women and often didn't come home, which meant his wife lived with anxiety. She once rode her bike to his office at 3 in the morning and caught him cheating with one of his young employees. When she confronted him, instead of apologizing, he beat her with the belt. "You bitch! Why are you here? Who told you to come?" His wife cradled her bloodied face in her hands and wailed it. "You have 3 kids. How could you be with such a young girl? What kind of person would do such a thing? You treated me like I was crazy." My uncle ignored his wife and kept swinging the belts until she stopped howling. North Korean society is built on a foundation of traditional patriarchy, layered with the socialist system. The status of a woman is law, and domestic abuse is often dismissed as a family matter. The government never intervenes. Women see the violence not as something that should never happen, but as something to endure for the sake of the family. Although my uncle's wife was married to a wealthy and successful man, she was the most miserable woman I've ever known. My uncle used to say, "I'm the one who puts food on the table. Isn't that enough for you? Do I have to knock some sense into you?" My family seemed to have everything: a big house, a new boss, a bountiful table, and rich relatives, but it was dysfunctional. My aunt sowed discord between my grandmother and me, trying to extort her for more money. My uncle, armed with wealth and power, slept with countless women. At home, he was a violent husband who beat his wife and a drug addict who couldn't live a day without getting high. In that affluent hell, I learned one of the most important truths: love is powerless against money. No matter how deeply you are bound by blood, money can turn you into enemies. When I was 16, I vowed that someday, when I fell in love, I would follow my heart. I would be a woman who could protect myself and never waver in the face of money. I've never forgotten that vow. When choosing a job, I put more importance on what matters than the size of a paycheck. And I look for work that adds meaning to my life in a place where my opinion will be respected. And I apply the same parameters to the men I see. My childhood is the compass that guides my life. I value things that money cannot buy: love, respect, and peace of mind, and I've promised myself that I will stay grounded. Weaving through the extreme ends of life, I learned to look deeper.